It was one of the most amazing feelings that a person that would have.
They have a lot of discouragement, a lot of letdowns. They're told no a lot. But for this period of time, they were on top of the world. And they were of celebrity status.
Let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt.
Chase Michael Lodder was born with a genetic disorder called Opitz FG syndrome.
It's a midline genetic disorder, so it can actually affect anything from like just right down the center of your body. So typically, children that are born with FG syndrome, their brains are affected. Sometimes they'll have what we call a hypotonic tongue, where their tongues kind of hang forward. Their GI tracts are born on the outside of their bodies, which luckily his wasn't. And like in their spine, sometimes the tail end of their spine, it's not fused like all the way, which he does have like a little tag there. So basically, it's a little bit of it's kind of a rare disorder. You don't see, it's not as common as like Down syndrome or something like that, but it is a thing, and that's what he has.
Butch and Annette Lodder didn't know their son had the genetic disorder until he was 14 years old.
It took a lot of weight off of our shoulders. Annette carried on her shoulders for years and years that she'd done something wrong when he was a child. Mothers do that. If there's anything wrong, what did I do? How could I have damaged my child? How could I have done anything? And it finally came out that when he walked her down the stairs, or when he did this or did that none of that caused any of this, that he was born with it, and she could finally get to where she wasn't carrying that burden anymore.
Having a genetic disorder and not knowing it wasn't easy for Chase. It was something that challenged him growing up.
Chase is one of those sons who grew up wanting to be like his dad. And so no matter what I was doing, if I was at the softball field, he wanted to be out there. I remember 3-4 years of age, him coming out on the softball field when I'm playing softball, and he always wanted to be involved. So naturally, when he became old enough, he wanted to be involved with junior jazz and play Little League baseball. And that worked when he was younger, but when he got to be later elementary school or junior high school, that became a problem, because even though the boys, there was a culture at the time of, oh yeah, let's put him on our team, that'll be good for us, we'll learn from this. That was all well and good until they got a couple of games into the season and competition picked up, and then they weren't quite so excited. He had an experience, I don't know if he told you, he was at practice, we weren't there, and he got out in the hall and the boys pantsed him. And that we knew the coach, we talked to the coach about it, his son was running the practice and he brushed it off. And so we realized at that time that we were probably asking too much of the community to keep him involved.
Sometimes, it was harder. Other kids, I think they didn't know how to act around him. Some would, be aggressive with him and still play hard and push him down and take over, and other kids would allow him to play, which was kind of nice. But it was always worth it when you see the smile on Chase's face.
While the diagnosis closed the door on some things in Chase's life, he refused to let it stop him from going after what he wanted.
One day he came home from church and he says, I've already got my papers all fixed, and gave them to the bishop, and they're in, and I'm going to serve a mission. And we were like, you are? Okay, well, okay then, I guess that's what our plan's going to be.
Elder Lodder served as a gardener's aide at the Salt Lake City Temple for 18 months, following in the footsteps of his great-grandfather.
Butch's grandfather, who is an immigrant from Holland, when he came to America, I think he couldn't, there was this kind of a situation where there was a decline in the economy and he couldn't find a job. He went to one of was it the president of the church, and he just said, you know, here I've immigrated here and there's supposed to be promise here for me, I don't even know what to do. And they ended up giving him a job as a gardener on the Temple Square mission. And so I thought, like grandpa, like grandson. And so it really was perfect.
In addition to working with tulips, roses, daffodils, and occasionally some weeds, Elder Lodder also had a chance meeting with LDS Apostle L. Tom Perry.
We were about to head home. We were tired, and he said that, I know it's cutting time short, but I understood that you had a strong feeling. I had a strong feeling, and Gordon B. Hinckley wanted to come down, or wanted me to come down and say hi, and told me that you were having a struggleful time, and we wanted to come down and tell you that you were in our prayers, that we wanted to tell you that everything's okay. Your mission's almost finished. You have a month and a half left. Please stick it out.
And that's exactly what he did. Elder Lodder finished his mission, but that didn't mean he was finished serving.
He's currently serving as our priesthood opening exercises coordinator, and he does his job wonderfully.
Chase has always had a passion for playing golf. He competes annually in a golf tournament with his neighbor and friend Nate Wonderly, and the duo have taken home the gold in back-to-back years.
It's a pretty chill atmosphere, but at the same time, we're both really competitive. Chase is a very competitive person, and he wants to win, and he loves to compete. And so we're out there kind of motivating each other. We have the same interests. You know, obviously golf is the biggest one. We both share a passion for the game and are really enthusiastic about it, and it kind of brings out the best in both of us when we're out there. But then off the golf course as well, you know, we both, you know, he has a job, he has to work, you know, I go to school, we have those sort of things, and then obviously we both like girls, so we can talk about that as well. But it's a good time. He's a really good kid.
In addition to golf, Chase began to compete in the Utah Special Olympic Games, where he found strong support and friendships.
Everybody helps everybody out, and being a team player. So when I heard about that program, Special Olympics, we got right into it, and I've been there ever since.
One day, his mom got a call from the Special Olympics coordinator that Chase could not refuse.
She told me that I just got a offer to go to South Seoul, Pyeongchang, Korea, and I was like, for golf or for snowboarding? And if it was for golf, I would be shocked and excited. But snowboarding was cool too.
The offer made Chase and his parents very excited until they learned he had to spend a week and a half at a training camp in upstate New York by himself.
And quite frankly, sending them off to even Lake Placid to New York for that little bit of time, all of us parents were terrified because we've never had our kids away from us.
But a week training with the Special Olympics snowboarding team gave Chase a lot of confidence.
I went to Lake Placid, New York to train for a week and a half. And then I came home and I knew I could do it.
Donations to the Special Olympic Fund paid for round-trip tickets and lodging accommodations for Chase. Mom and Dad had to find their own way to South Korea, but weren't about to miss out on watching their son succeed.
We'd never been on an international flight like that before. It was it was about 12 hours. We flew to Seattle, and then from Seattle to Tokyo, and from Tokyo to Seoul. We were without the athletes for the first day or two. They had to stay together, and we were not able to be with them. So we spent a day or so in Seoul by ourselves, got to adventure and experience a city with 21 million people. That was unbelievable.
While Mom and Dad played, Chase trained on what the Koreans call mountains.
We were able to, when Chase wasn't competing, we had a day or two that we were able to slip away. We went off to the venue where the Olympics will be there in another couple, I think 2018. We knew that at the time, so we were able to go look at some of the venues.
Yeah, and this was kind of a mock-up trial to those Olympics.
We're very interested to see the Olympics when they come, because we didn't see Hill tall enough to do the downhill.
Living in Utah, we're like, that's the mountain? Okay.
I volunteered for the Olympics in 2002, and I know what kind of elevation you need to put on that event, and we didn't see anything.
We were like, these are hills.
Despite the lack of elevation, Chase entered the slalom, giant slalom, and super G events.
We had to do a couple races to test the tracks out and see what the athletes can do. And so then a couple days later, we did our first race and stuff like that, and my times got easier and easier and easier.
The Lodders understand that the Special Olympic Games don't have the money and prestige that the other Olympic Games have, but they were surprised at the majesty of the South Korean Games.
They had events during the day. We were free in the evenings. Oh, they had several. I mean, we were invited to opening
Opening and closing ceremonies
ceremonies.
were like
big deal.
astounding. It was amazing.
And the athletes all walked in, marched in just
They
like
did the parade just like
we
they
see.
do, all their uniforms. And
They had a big program, and then not every night, but a lot of the nights, they had programs available for the families for us to go. They had big meals, big presentations, had speakers for us,
yeah.
banquets. Very, very nice. The South Korean delegation did an amazing job
They're very
at
gracious.
keeping us involved.
Unlike the other Olympic Games, the crowds at the Special Olympics cheer for every athlete.
Some of them would start out and they were just coming down so great, and then they just fall, and and they're upset and everything. But it's like, but you're so brave and you did it, and it's so good and that's so great, and you're going to be a winner anyway. So, and we had other parents from other countries, and no matter what, we all cheered everyone's, Russia, South Korea. I mean, all of us mothers were cheering, and just aching, just happy for each of our kids.
Chase raced against athletes from all around the world. After hours and days and weeks of training, he ended up in a tight race for a gold medal.
The first race, I thought that I was qualified for first, but they they had the scores wrong. I was the first one that they called on the stand, but they switched the numbers for some reason, and when I got on this platform to second, I got a little bit more overwhelmed. I knew that I would win a medal. These medals are not. These medals are very hard to qualify, win, and hard to get. You have to practice, and work.
At the end of the week, Chase earned 3 silver medals and a chance to represent the United States of America. After a 12-hour flight, Chase came back to Utah, where he received a hero's welcome at the Salt Lake Airport.
When I was on top of the escalator and I could see what was going on, and I looked at my coaches and my athletes and said, "Guys, this is it. We're finished. Let's go home."
And I was just so terribly proud of him. I just couldn't help myself.
I stand on top of the escalator and I cried. Not just for excitement, but just for all the people that came and supported us, that these athletes that worked their hardest for a long time.
The news caught a shot of that, and I have to admit I cried when I saw that, because it was just kind of that tender moment for a mom to just, it's kind of like, good job, son,
Our grandparents, our family, our friends were all there. It like almost filled the whole airport. And so when I got down the escalator, my mom and my sister came to the bottom of the escalator with open arms.
And I was just really proud that, he had been able to rise up from all the challenges and hard times that he's had in his life to that rock star moment where he was just able to be in the limelight and just shine so bright.
And told me that it was, all right, you're home, you did it.
It was pretty cool.
Having a child with a disability isn't what the Lodder family was expecting, but looking back, it's been a blessing in disguise.
I am often asked to describe the experience of raising a child with a disability, to try to help people who have not shared that unique experience to understand it, to imagine how it would feel. It's like this. When you're going to have a baby, it's like planning a fabulous vacation trip to Italy. You bought a bunch of guidebooks and make wonderful plans. The Colosseum, the Michelangelo, the gondolas in Venice. You may even have some handy phrases in Italian. It's all very exciting. After months of eager anticipation, the day finally arrives. You pack your bags and off you go. Several hours later, the plane lands. The stewardess comes in and says, "Welcome to Holland." Holland, you say? What do you mean, Holland? I signed up for Italy. I'm supposed to be in Italy. All my life I've dreamed of going to Italy. But there's a change in the flight plan. You've landed in Holland and there you must stay. The important thing is that they haven't taken you to a horrible, disgusting, filthy place full of pestilence, famine, and disease. It's just a different place. So you must go out and buy new guidebooks, and you must learn a whole new language, and you will meet a whole new group of people you would never have met. It's just a different place. It's a slower paced than Italy life, less flashy than Italy. But after you've been there for a while and you catch your breath, you look around, you begin to notice that Holland has windmills, and Holland has tulips. Holland even has Rembrandts. But everyone you know is busy coming and going from Italy, and they're all bragging about what a wonderful time they had there. And for the rest of your life, you will say, yes, that's where I was supposed to go, and that's what I had planned. And the pain of that will never, ever, ever go away. because the loss of that dream is very, very significant, is a very significant loss. But if you spend your life mourning the fact that you didn't get to Italy, you may never be free to enjoy the very special, the very lovely things about Holland.
When I look at you, I look in love. When I think of you, I see the truth.